Radio.
Let's get to our conversation. Today we've been priming it. We want to have a discussion about the National Intelligence Bureau's report, which they have shared. It has leaked. I was going to say they have shared. They probably shared with some people, but it has leaked now and is in the public domain. This report suggests that an overwhelming majority, about 84% of some 5,000 odd delegates and party members of the NPP have said resoundingly that they would prefer to have Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as running mate to Dr. Bawumia in the coming election. Let's figure out what it all means. We are joined by Dr. Kwasi Asah-Asante, who is with the University of Ghana, and he's helping us with some analysis here. Dr. Asah-Asante, what a pleasure to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. And good morning to my friends in the Winston and Raymond.
That's right.
Good morning, Doc.
So maybe we'll just jump right in. First of all, exactly how significant is the findings of this NIB report?
It is very significant in the sense that from where I sit, it is nothing but a true reflection of what is the situation on the ground. You want to get somebody as a running mate to Bawumia. You need certain qualities that will be part and parcel of the characteristics that you need to have a candidate who will lead the party. And I have no doubt in my mind that NAPO stands tall than the rest of those who people have, touted their names and bandied their names about.
Right. Well, let's start to interrogate some of it. Now, why is it that NAPO appeals to the members of the party? What is it about him that makes so many members of the party consider him their choice?
Yeah, politics is a game of numbers. And if you look at NAPO, he's close to the rank and file of the party, as well as the top brass. Apart from that, given the ministries that he has served, he has a number of following due to the policies that put in place that have, resonate with homes and families and the rest of them. Remember that we are dealing with a game which is, manned by numbers. So, and against the backdrop that we operate a certain electoral system, which is first past the post system, one vote will push you from a candidate to become an MP or a president. So if you have somebody who is a toast of many, obviously is going to increase your chances, all things being equal, that you are going to get the numbers. Let us also talk about the fact that, places that you have worked are places that in politics will also define your political movement. For instance, if you look at the Ministry of Education Ministry as an entity, look at every home. There is at least somebody who is at one level or another in terms of the educational, career. So if you churn out a policy that resonates with homes and families, obviously your name becomes a household name and it increases your popularity. And that aside, we can also look at the ticket, when we say a running mate, which if people give your flag bearer the nod to become the president, what are you bringing to bear on the ticket? There are 3 or 4 considerations for selecting a running mate. One is you need somebody who will come and complement the ticket of the flag bearer, so that in event that the flag bearer will not be able to, if he ultimately becomes the president, he will not be able to continue with running out the affairs of the state. You step into the shoes and then you run the state without any difficulty. So it's that quality they look for, and they look for somebody who has certain qualities to come and complement what his leader has. Dr. Bawumia, you and I are alive to the fact that he's an economist through and through. But Opoku Prempeh, if he's brought on board, is bringing an experience from the education ministry because he has held that position. He's also bringing experience from the Ministry of Energy. Energy is associated with our lives through and through. So that cannot be discounted. You are also talking about a legislator who has been in Parliament for, if my memory serves me right, more than 2 terms. So that is a wealth of experience. Beyond that, you are looking for somebody who has what? Medical background, that he appeals to what? That constituency. So he's bringing this thing on board to come and support his leader who has something on what? The economy. It is this type of calculation that if you look at jurisdictions all over the world, that's the consideration that they take when they are selecting what the running mate. Right. And I will also bring to focus the fact that this is one of the considerations that brought Biden closer to what? Obama, because Biden was so much, experienced in what? Diplomacy. America is what it is because of what? Diplomacy. So there's somebody who has been a senator for years. So that wealth of experience, let's bring him to tie with what? Barack Obama. And that was the consideration. So that is the person who is coming to complement the strength of what? The flag bearer. Aside that, you are looking at somebody also who can appeal to what? Other groups of people within the country. And look at the fact that he's a medical officer. He appeals to what? Families, individuals, groups, because apart from that, he has served what? The various ministries he has served are going to also, the benefits for serving in that ministry and introducing a policy like, for instance, education ministry, free SHS, which has resonated with the people of this country. Obviously, you are going to touch in on that. And then the, the Ministry of Energy. Even though I acknowledge that there are problems in there, but as a politician, you don't only go in for what the praises. You must also brace yourself for the problems that confront that ministry to find yourself, and then have answers when questions are posed to you. So that is one thing. Then above all, you are looking for somebody who will come and support your running mate, because that individual also is the one who you can work with and you flow with that person. And the person also is able to what? Have relationship with the rank and file of the party, and as well as what? The nook and cranny of this country. So it's a whole wealth of factors you consider. Aside all these things, when you look at all the names that have been bandied around, the party that we are looking for somebody from Asante region. The simple and short of the message is that they want to ginger the people in Asante region to vote. If it is for any reason, then the person should come from anywhere in this country. But remember, we are not into beauty contests. I'm sorry to say that. We are in to look for what? Somebody who can restore power. So for a party, that is their consideration. So they look for a place that people will be gingered the most to support the party. If you look at, and 3 places come to mind. Asante region, which is the strongest region in terms of support for the NPP. Then you come and look at what? The swing regions, as well as eastern region. All right, the swing regions are greater and what? Central region. Yes, the candidate could come from any of these. But if you really want to win, you and I know that if we really want to, MPP want to win in Asante region, they don't need to go below 70% of the votes that will be cast in Asante region. They should garner that. So if you really want to ginger, then from common sense point of view and strategic perspective, you believe that get somebody from that region to ginger the people and see you can show up your vote. Because there's a tendency for the way things are going, there's a tendency for Ashanti to stay out of the election. Some of them will not be interested in voting and all that. So if the Ejisu experience is anything to go by, you really want to ginger the people, then you get somebody from within there, it's a good candidate.
So, Dr. Asah-Asante, would any candidate from the Asante region do in order to fulfill this, 70% and over?
I believe so. I believe that quite a lot from Asante region has told you that you can also pick from Eastern, from Greater Accra or Central. But if you really believe in getting the people gingered, and that is your focus, I believe strongly that if you get the Asante region candidate, it will do the trick.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be.
That is not the only consideration why people vote.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be Dr. Opoku Prempeh.
Infrastructure development, and then the fight against corruption, unemployment, and the rest of them. All these things will be brought to bear. But this is one of the factors that will really also support all the numerous factors that are required or that vote.
So, Dr. Asah-Asante, I'm asking, so does that mean that it doesn't necessarily have to be Dr. Opoku Prempeh, that the party would accept anyone as long as the person is from the Asante region?
You can, yes, anybody qualifies, but you are looking at among them who is the best in terms of all the things and then the acts that I want to talk about. Apart from all that, you want somebody who stands tall than the rest of them, and that I think can be found in Opoku Prempeh. Okay. Look at his background as an Achim and Asante. All right, the mother hails from Achim and father from the Menchia. The parties, you can't discount, institution of chieftaincy, even though they don't play active part in politics and all that. But when somebody comes from a royal family, and of course, we are talking about Menchia, even though the Menchia is not part of the politics of the country and all that, obviously, it robs of you, in terms of your advantage. If you look at the Achim groups within the MPP, they will not let power go completely from their hand. So there's somebody who also hails from Achim land. Obviously, it will be a tool of Achim.
Dr. Asah-Asante, if indeed his mother is from Achim and his father is Asante, that makes him Achim, not Asante.
No, I am not talking about where he hails from, that kind of thing.
I'm talking about where he hails from. I'm saying that
definition, people get it.
Yeah, if indeed his mother is from Achim and his father is Asante, that makes him an Achim. The Akans are matrilineal.
We won't go there, but let's move on. We are looking at the numbers. Where the Achim group? Because always there's an interest that a group of people want to protect in politics, that they don't want to let power go completely from their hand. So if they are selecting an Asante candidate and there's somebody who has something to do with Achim land, obviously people will gravitate towards him.
Okay, let's talk about his professional career. You talked about his record at the Education Ministry and then at the Energy Ministry. Is he somebody who Ghanaians consider to have been competent in these roles? When he was at the Education Ministry, he was minister when free SHS was introduced. And we all know there were quite a number of hiccups with the introduction of free SHS. Also, while he was minister, his deputy, Dr. Educhum, was actually getting quite a lot of praise and applause. At the Energy Ministry, we all know that the ministry has really gone through a lot of issues with the supply of power in Ghana. Is he considered to have been effective, competent in these roles?
Let's look at the Education Ministry. All right. Yes, he was a minister when that flagship program of the party was introduced. Right. He was the implementer of the government policy. Any person who did any job was just complementing the effort of his leader. So you cannot give the credit to his deputy when he was a substantive minister. All right. All these efforts where he was in charge. So from a public policy perspective and from governance perspective, he was a man on the beat, and he was doing all that. And yes, initial hiccups and then there are still problems with the policy. There's no public policy without problems. And that is why at the public policy cycle, the last bit is what? Evaluation of the policy to see whether you need to overhaul or terminate the policy altogether. All right. So that overhauling, the conversation is on, we are talking about it. But what the benefit of the program and how the program started in spite of the difficulties, the results we have attained are also they're available for people to see. So you realize that you cannot say that he did not perform. For me, I believe that he performed, but even though there were problems. All right. You come to energy ministry. Yes, energy, he has performed, but there are problems that are still lingering on. In fact, there I have seen in terms of education ministry, he has performed better than what energy ministry, because the energy ministry, we keep on being deceived into believing that there is no Dumso. But Dumso is alive today, and that is something that he has to deal with. I mean, he has to deal with how he is going to convince Ghanaians that he is the material worth considering, and that when he is giving this position, he will be able to deliver the public goods. That is for him to answer. But at least when you compare the two ministries, he performed far better in education ministry than energy ministry. That is not to say that in energy ministry he didn't do anything at all, but we still have what Dumso. Today, the debate is about what the Dumso economy versus what the 24-hour economy. Whether we like it or not, that is something that is on the table for us to consider.
Let's talk about the man himself and his what his critics describe as a prickly demeanor. We have seen this exhibited in a number of ways. We've heard him when he talked about how we should go and make our own timetable at the height of the most recent bout of Dumso, when people were calling for a timetable so they could plan. He said that anyone who is asking for a timetable wishes evil on this country. Just yesterday, even as this report was leaked and making the rounds publicly, Dr. Opoku Prempeh was in Parliament being himself in response to some of the questions that were posed to him by members of Parliament. This prickly demeanor that people point to, how will that serve him in the role of running mate to Dr. Bawumia? And if they are to win and he were to become the vice president, how do you envisage his working relationship with his boss, if indeed he remains the way his critics see him to be?
The problems you have enumerated are nothing but the true situation, at least from where I said the little that I know, it is a fact, all right? But there's nobody who is 100%, correct relative to the issues we are talking about. What we do in politics is that you weigh it against all the baggage you could talk about. And if you see that, yes, there are problems there, you should be able to have answers and how to manage those problems and all that. Because you can't get anybody who is perfect. So when there are problems, you need to manage the person. And that is the work of a political officer who is in party to be able to manage these things and shepherd the person to the process, towards the Rubicon. Yes, you come into governance, all right? We expect some modicum of respect and the rest of them, all right? That is a different ball game altogether, because there you think that you have got power and you want to misbehave. The next time they show you the exit. So there you learn the hard way. And of course, the management will continue to be an ongoing process. That socialization process, you'll be going through all that. Let us look at all our leaders. They have some of these weaknesses, and that makes us what? The best of what? Human beings who are fallible, all right? But you must also be prepared to be walked through a tight rope of political righteousness so that you become fit for purpose. Otherwise, you can have power, but it will slip through your fingers, because people believe that you are the type that will look down upon people, you are snobbish, and the rest of them. I believe that these things, yes, there are issues, but they can be managed.
Now, this survey was of NPP members and delegates. how informative is this to the vice president, who wants to win the election and can pretty much take the support of his own party for granted? So should he be more interested in how the general voting public feel about his choice of running mate?
The general public obviously are not so much different from the party, even though when you are getting views of what party members, it's a little bit different from that of the general country. But remember, the party is also a microcosm of the country. So their views are not totally different from the views of the Ghanaian public. So you believe that, yes, this is the view of the party, if I may put it this way. But obviously, it resonates with certain quarters of the country. That one, nobody can shove it under the carpet. And that it tells you that the person does not only have an appeal within the party, but he has also a national appeal. Nobody can convince me that Opoku Prempeh doesn't have a national appeal. He has.
What is it that leads you to that conclusion? What are some of the matrices that you can point to that lead you to the conclusion that the way the party feels about it
is driven by contest of ideas and referendum of your work? What work can you show? As a minister for education, the GSS, the senior high school program is there for the world to see. Yes, he performed creditably well there. Energy, they did a few things which is there for the world to see. But there are weaknesses which we are also alive to. Quite apart from that, he has also served his constituents, which is also, a group of people from different backgrounds and all that. And so all these things are part and parcel of some of the canons that will be used to measure these things. In addition to the fact that he has also been close to the rank and file of the party, as well as the top brass of the party.
Of course, a person's electoral track record is important if you want to predict how well he'll do in the future. So, I mean, looking at his own track record in Menchia South, how well has he done there in order to consider how well he can do given a much broader mandate of winning votes across the whole nation?
Obviously, voters always look at the performance of their candidate and decide whether to renew his mandate or not. The fact that they renewed his mandate for about 2 times or so gives an indication that all is well, even though there may be problems within that constituencies. But the good people of the majority of the people believe that he's a material worth considering, and that is why they always put him ahead of others and vote for him, because it will be a fruitless exercise if you put somebody there and doesn't perform and you continue to maintain that non-performing MP as your representative. Then obviously you don't know what you want. But of course, the people of Menchia South, they know what they want, and they believe that over the years, he has been, in spite of what challenges and all that, he has been able to satisfy them to a certain point. And that is why they continue to renew his mandate.
Dr. Kwasi Asah-Asante, I want to say a big thank you to you for your time with us this morning. Very enlightening. Of course, Dr. Asah-Asante is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana.